What is going on, guys? Fighting Game Select is here. We are back. We're going to talk about another aspect of what makes fighting game great. And we got to show love to the commentary. So, we got my man, Texas Steve, in the building. What is good, bro?
What's good? Kizzie, get
I
busy.
feel like we got a lot. Like, it's like my brother, my ex-roommate, yo,
we got history.
Partner,
we got history, bro.
Yeah, ex-training partner, But look, we're going to talk about 6 favorite games that you like to commentate. So, you play variety of fighting games,
Yes.
Guilty Gear, definitely one of the Guilty Gear guys, Tekken, Street Fighter. No order, but it's just what you can think of as number 6. What is number 6 right now?
You know what? I'm going to say Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter is, because thing is, and I hold a lot of people to this regard, because what happens is people are like, bro, I want my game to be balanced, I want all my characters to be valuable, and I'm like, no, you don't, because if you did, you'd play Virtua Fighter. And Virtua Fighter is the game that taught me, well, there's a will, there's a way. And also it's one of the games that I felt like it's one of the games that you see people play, and it's a 3-button game, and it has probably the deepest tech out of a lot of fighting games that's ever existed. And it's literally a 3-button game. And the way you break throws, the way you move around, the whole lateral system and the 3D movement, that game had so much to it that was all comprised of 3-button inputs. And I remember in the arcade, back in the throwback arcade videos that I used to look at for Virtua Fighter 4 and whatever the case, they literally had a customization thing where you can put the inputs on the screen during the replays. And it was the dopest thing.
Ridiculous.
It's actually crazy. And it was literally just a joystick and the 3 buttons. That's all it was. But Virtua Fighter is one of those games. Dude, I'm telling you, it's actually one of the coolest things ever. But I will say Virtua Fighter is definitely a top 5 game for me just in general.
And that game is not really like a combo heavy game. It's really about pokes, mind games, whip punishes, stagger setups and things like that. Obviously got juggles here and there, but the main point is reading how your opponent's going to defend and how
exactly
how they're going to try to counterattack. I can't even say I don't remember you commentating or just talking about the game as a whole, just because you do so many games. And to hear that Virtua Fighter is one of those is actually dope to hear. We're gonna get into the next one, number 5, bro.
So I would say KOF.
Ooh,
yeah.
Damn, that's good. That's good.
So I gotta say, man, what's crazy is I could make a movie about me understanding KOF. I swear,
I could too. And I feel I could if they gave me a budget to work with, I will make everybody love KOF.
100. I'm telling you right now, give me a budget. I promise you, I know the exact narrative to paint people for them to understand on a world level how good KOF is. And I feel like KOF is understood at a world level, just not in the States as much. It's getting there. It was getting there. We had our little pops. We've had these things, and I got to commend SNK for what they've been doing over the last few years, because they're really working to try to make people understand and show just how good, how rich of the legacy of KOF is worldwide. But coming from the Midwest, I'm a Midwest boy, right? I was a KOF, a super scrub. I was even though I was an adult, I could legally buy liquor, I was a baby-ass scrub at KOF, bro. I was so bad. Now, the thing is that it was because I didn't understand, how to play it at a higher level. And even though the videos were there, there's so much tech, there's so much history behind it that, you have to have hands-on to understand just how deep it goes. But literally, when I moved to the West Coast, that's when it was literally I understood that I was not playing King of Fighters. So my respect for King of Fighters went up exponentially when I came out here and I saw people who were actually playing King of Fighters. I was I literally had the realization that I wasn't really playing KOF like this. And the only thing I can remember, right? The only thing I can remember to kind of liken this to is remember when I think it was Chris G was playing somebody at UCI, and they just kept hyper hopping on him, and he didn't know what to do. He just what? It was one of those, and I was that's what it was. Literally, I felt that was the leap that I have felt, because there are so many things that you have to be aware of in KOF with character-specific stuff and stuff like that. But that game has so much tech to it. It has so much history behind it. And each character, I feel like, has like years of tech behind it.
I think those two games are very special gems, especially just the history of their games. It's so
good. Yeah,
the
heritage behind it, bro. It's a lot.
What's number 4?
It's not actually number 4, but I'm gonna say Street Fighter because of the lessons that I like learned about actually being able to commentate that game at a competent level. Even now, I remember when Street Fighter 4 was out, right? And this is when I moved to SoCal around like Street Fighter 4, right? It was like right there in the thick of it. And this is when I was like kind of getting into commentary, and I'm playing a Street Fighter. Like I'm playing like Axe Vicious. That dude must have beat me with Yun a billion times.
That's
like
the worst. That's the worst training partner. That's the worst training person to
he's
have.
He's the best, and he's the worst and the best.
Because you're learning how to play Street Fighter, and you have to fight young to learn.
Literally, my man was like, "Oh, you want to learn how to play basketball? Fight Michael Jordan, the character."
Yeah,
like it was
like
fight LeBron James, the character. Like what?
You gotta fight. Like him playing young is you trying to defend the post game against Shaquille O'Neal.
Like because I was so natural at talking about like Tekken and Third Strike, and that's why I'm talking about 4 specifically, because that game was like the game that I was literally like, it's probably the only game I looked at it and was like, huh, let me talk about this game. Like let me see if I could talk about this game. And obviously I'm not gonna say I wasn't good enough, but I don't think I was good enough. I don't think I should have been in that spot to talk about that game. Anyway, wanting to like talk to people about the game is not the same as commentating the game. Right. And being on camera to talk about a game, you know what I'm saying, and to actually commentate a game is 2 different things, right? Like I want this to be something. This is like a sporting event. This has to be something where you can talk about like the instances specifically and go into like character stuff. And Street Fighter's a matchup game more than most games out there. And for that, like you need a lot of experience. Afterwards, I went and studied like just Street Fighter 4 and how David and James were talking about it and how they were approaching some of the instances to be like, oh, well, look at this and look at that. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, like this is kind of the tempo you want to go, because I feel like a lot of times one of the things about commentating multiple games is like the pacing of those games is different a lot of times. So you have to change up your commentary to fit the game. And like I'm commentating Tekken and I'm used to commentating Third Strike, and those games are different paces. So I literally had to go and I literally just went and watched so much footage, whether it be with commentary or without commentary, for Street Fighter. And then when Street Fighter 5 came out is when like I was already like knee deep in it anyway, because now I was on the West Coast when the game released, and I had like a proper circle around me of people who played Street Fighter like that. And I said I never did before, but like that was so into
motivated.
The competitive. So yeah,
motivated.
They were
and obviously
super motivated.
You are what you hang out with, so then you get motivated.
Yeah, and it made me like want to play more Street Fighter 5 and like all the characters.
I remember the Nash, man.
Yeah, you know, hey, you know, you act. Yeah, you know,
I know. Yeah, I was there, bro.
So like that is like one of the things that was very becoming. That was probably one of the most becoming things I've ever done in commentary for me personally, if I had to look at it, because like Street Fighter is a historic game. There's a lot of history behind it. It's a matchup heavy game, but like I said, talking about a game and commentating a game is different. Street Fighter is the game that taught me that, because like I said, 4 was the game I had the least amount of experience with, and getting into a spot where I felt comfortable talking about it or commentating that game at a high level took me a while. And it all started from the fact that Valle was the one, Mr. Street Fighter himself, was like, yo, Steve, you don't know enough. And honestly, like I said, I cannot thank Valle enough, man. I cannot. It not only made me gain more respect to the point now for what I do, but also that message has stayed with me up literally until this point. I talk about it often, but I'm glad I got to tell you that. So yeah, Street Fighter would be that game. And now I will go to the third game. I will say that it is Guilty Gear.
Okay.
Now Guilty Gear, only because I would say Guilty Gear is 3 because it's one of the games that, oh man, it actually could be first, but once again, this is in no particular order. But this is because outside of Tekken and Third Strike, which I didn't commentate, and Virtua Fighter, which I had a ton of hands-on, but I did like research to get there, Guilty Gear is probably my most natural like commentary game. because
I mean,
know
you, Majin Obama,
the GOAT.
really sold Xrd.
Yeah.
When you guys were together, Juna,
Oh my
like,
God, bro.
like
Yeah, that's real.
You guys sold the story of like the top players in that game, and like without any of that, and like a little bit with like Dragon Ball Fighters and stuff,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to have Strive to be as big as it is now.
Man, dog, that's crazy. Like you putting a lot into perspective right now. But no,
I mean,
man,
I've been in it.
For real. You talking facts right now. The flag has been you waving the flag right now. I see you.
Like I know my history. I know my history on a lot of variable things. So
this is a game along with like Tekken, right? Like I paid attention to Street Fighter, but it was only like the top people, right? Like it was like if they weren't in the top 8, I probably didn't know who they were, right? But Guilty Gear, like I was watching that when it was on a like VHS quality.
Remember Keep On Rocking? We used to
keep
type
on
in X-Nate. Shout out to Doug. Keep On Rocking, man. Had that website. You just type in your favorite character. Name, mad list of like all matchups.
Matches. Like all matchups. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like that's the stuff that I kept track of by myself. Like I played so much Guilty Gear. I was so entrenched in Guilty Gear that like I was on everything. Like everything. So when it came the point in time which people was like, hey man, can you talk about Guilty Gear? I'm like, can I talk about Guilty Gear? Let me crack my knuckle. Like that game. And you look, shout outs to Kizzie, shout outs to the house. Y'all know what it is. Shout outs to the house. Y'all know what it is. Like if you've been in the workroom, in the garage, with the light buzzing, in that fucking sweltering heat, like you know how much I love Guilty Gear. You know how much we've played Guilty Gear. So that game to me is really like how important it is because like I said before, like I was taught a large part about like Virtua Fighter and I was in a scene with Tekken players and I was in a scene with Marvel players. So that was like proxy information that I had to double back and learn, right? But Guilty, I was just like, I need this. Like I'm going to learn this no matter what, And not saying that it was forced on any other thing. It was just saying that like as a most natural game to go to, it's 100% Guilty Gear because like I said, I just love everything about it. I love the art, I love the music, I love the sprite animations, I love the competition, I love the friends that I made around it. Like
even the character back-to-back interactions. Like
bro, I've been talking about that for years as an artistic piece of work and just everything surrounding it. Like I love Guilty Gear. Ryan, the GOAT Hunter. Yes. Shout outs to Ryan Hunter, right?
Yes, Ryan Hunter.
Sidebar, like I was a big fan of Ryan Hunter. I was
a big fan of Ryan Hunter too. That dude was literally a scientist with venom.
He's so good. And like the thing is that I remember, and this is a small story, right? I can't even remember the event. I think it was an ArcSys like finals or something. And me and Ryan Hunter did commentary, I think, for the first time. I know that I am going to give him the articulation spot because I am so excited that I'm going to point this thing out. And I'm like, did you see that he did this thing with the FRC? Because if he did it here, it wouldn't have worked out. And you know what would have happened? Ryan would instantly pick that shit up and be like, yeah, because if he went the other way, this would have happened. And when I tell you, like, it's not many times I've done commentary where we've covered everything.
Yeah, every scenario was solved in
everything. We literally talked up, down, left, right, like at a 30-degree angle, like down it, like we hit every spot. And once we finished the commentary, it was like I literally just finished construction on a skyscraper. Me and Ryan looked at each other like, yeah. Like we legit. He was like, I think he says he's like, yo, Steve, that might be the most fun commentary I've ever done. I'm like, bro, for Guilty Gear, I might be right there. Like it was that dude, Kizzie. It felt that good.
That was a great choice. Now look, number 2.
It's got to be Marvel. I haven't said Marvel yet because
you was quiet about that.
Because once again, right? Like people don't know this. I come from the Marvel 2 era, right? I sucked at that game. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, I was definitely bad. I was out here running around talking about See My Iceman. I was definitely I was definitely getting smoked.
Bro, I was telling people, see my Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Jin Saitome, and Ken Masters. Marvel 3 might be the most single-handed game. And I got to say, shout-outs to my brother from another mother, but never far. IFC, mother. That guy. When I tell you, that dude put into perspective the showmanship of a game like Marvel. Like, I know what I'm looking at. I know how to tell people, like, oh man, he hit him with the snapback. He's actually going to do an infinite right here. But the way that I saw this, right? This is coming from somebody who, I was at Seasons beatings when Yipes had that historic match when he was wearing the glove. Like, I was there. I was there. Like, I didn't even know Yipes at the time. He did not know I existed on this planet, but I was there. And I was in that crowd of people watching. Like, there are so many small nuances to commentary that I learned just from sitting there, like, next to him and talking to him about the game, right? Like, he taught me, like, and this goes along with, like, Say Jam and, like, even, like, Rip, too. Like, the way that I talk about these games is specifically, like, put to each game. Like, there are little nuances that I'm like, yo, I'll do this in Gear, but I won't do it in Street Fighter. And I might do this in Street Fighter and Tekken, but I won't do it in Gear. And I can do this in Gear and Tekken, but it don't work so well for Street Fighter. There's a lot of give and take from that. But watching Yipes talk about this game and, like, sitting there talking about it with him while the happening on the screen in front of you and then knowing what's happening, I didn't know how to kind of fit that into Marvel commentary. And when I started sharing the mic with Yipes, that's when I understood. I'm like, oh, once again, the pacing of this game is different from Guilty Gear, from Tekken, from Street Fighter. It's different. Like, it's like blistering. You got to be ready. And sometimes, like, when I'm talking about certain games, even Guilty Gear, if I would go to, like, one of the slowest games comparatively, even though it's not at the time, there are times when you can say exactly what's happening. Oh, he hit the FRC, but he's too close to the corner. So this right here is going to always fall aside. Like, you can do that. But in Marvel, sometimes you got to wait for that on-screen cue because it's so much shit happening. It's like, oh, wait a minute. He's going to go for the throw. Reset. TAC. Like, that kind of cadence to bring to commentary. And even the way I'm saying it now is not how Yipes does it. But those things, knowing how to pick out on spots to be like, all right, well, hey, this is where I'm going to hop in because of this is what it's going to lead to. It gave me, like, so much for even more understanding how to formulate, like, commentary into my own thing across different games and to do it with, like, somebody like Yipes who is, like, a ridiculous player, right? Like, he's already he's a historic player, like an iconic, like, Marvel player. And to be there on the mic with him talking about it and, like, learning, like, how he sees it, because that's what you're listening to. Like, you're listening to somebody, how they perceive the game, and just kind of being, like, you know, like a kind of like a spirit guide for the person, you know what I'm saying, this might be watching at home. Like, yo, what just happened? And then Yipes does this thing, and then we, like, it was that alone, because a lot of times when it comes to commentary for Marvel, Yipes is the first person I think about. But I also think about the boy Reg and just learning about the game and just Marvel overall. And, like, you know, being in SoCal for Marvel was probably one of the craziest things that I can remember about fighting games.
I feel like we both kind of know with the last game. So
you don't know what the last game is. Say it if you know it. Say Tekken. It what it is. Tekken. Wrong. It's not Tekken. It's DOA. No, I'm right.
I was about to say, whoa.
Nah. Obviously, number one is going to be Tekken. And it's crazy because, like, Tekken is one of those games, like, I will say, like, out of all the games that I played, right? Out of all of those games, right? Like, and I'll give a little, like, backstory to this, just so we're not, like, I'm not just throwing it out there. Okay. For Guilty Gear, I had, like, 3 friends that I played with, right? Including Aaron and a couple other people, and then we traveled and played a little bit, right? For Virtua Fighter, I learned because one of the homies won it, right? KOF was my own thing, but I wasn't actually playing KOF. If you actually think about it, Street Fighter is like a 3-parter, right? Because Street Fighter 3 was the game that I was most versed at. I sucked at Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 5 was like I actually am learning how to talk about this game, right? And then Marvel is like, hey, how do you talk to people about something so fast? Like, the showmanship of it. Guilty Gear is something that I had to learn and, like, I know that I know these things, but how do I tell people about these things as they're happening in front of me, right? And then like what Tekken is that the thing is, it's probably the strongest community that I've come from, that I played.
That's good.
Cause and the reason that makes a difference is because like I was in the house playing Tekken Tag and Tekken 4 with Unconquerable, right? Like, and so many others, the homies Diedrich and Pedre. You know, they don't know these things, but y'all know Unconquerable. Y'all know Slips. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know STL Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? Those are historic like Tekken names. And I was privileged to spend all my hard-earned $20 to get my ass spanked, beat, destroyed. I had to catch a bus to the mall. That was a 45-minute trip with $20. Part of that $20 was the bus ride, 2 stops, got to the mall, lost the $15 I had, and then I stood there and watched for another 4 hours. Think about that. Y'all know who's doing that? Y'all not doing that. Y'all not finna do that. I dare you. You can't even do it because it ain't no arcades. But the reason that I say Tekken is because I had so many minds to learn from. And Tekken is one of those games that's a legacy game. So there's a lot of stuff in there that you probably wouldn't get just by looking at the instruction manual or opening the training mode. Not until recently anyway. Like there's so much stuff that I literally was just like, damn, they ain't even put this in the instruction manual. I just know that. That's crazy.
We just figured it out.
We just figured it out, you know? And a lot of my Tekken knowledge comes from the fact that it is that community game. So it wasn't only like me just being like, I'm learning Tekken so I can stop getting my ass beat, but like those are like my brothers now, you know what I'm saying? Like no matter where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have like, I think about them so much. I think about the Slips, I think about the Unconquerables, I think about the AJs, the Jodies, the STL Bad Boys, the XORs. Like they know who they are, man. Like I don't gotta say all their names because they know who they are. But when I tell you like that built, like that was my touch grass moment. You know how we was talking about touching grass earlier?
Yeah,
like that's
the grass was being hugged.
The dog, like, because I had to go out my house, I had to interact with people. I had to like, you have to respect people's boundaries. You can't just be like over, you know, too loud, mess people. You know what I'm saying? You have to be.
There was a level of respect that everybody knew about. It was
exactly.
There was a code. There was a code to follow.
Yes, and it was literally just. It made a lot of sense in the greatest way possible. But yeah, that's it, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't even want to think about it because I'm like, well, actually, but for the most part, I can say like, yeah, that is like the 6 in some way, shape, or form.
Fighting games will never die, bro. And with that being said, thank you so much for coming here, bro. I really appreciate the time. And like, I want to ask, man, where can they find you, dude?
But if people are looking for me, man, it's at Tasty_Steve everywhere. At Tasty_Steve on Twitter or X, YouTube, Instagram. You can find me there.
I hope you guys enjoyed it so much. Please let me know in the comments below, man, how you enjoy it. You know, we got to bring back Steve on board. You guys let me know in the comment section below. How did you guys enjoy it, man? What did you guys learn? Let me know. Please subscribe to the channel. And make sure you guys show love and subscribe to Steve.
Yes.
Make sure you follow him on Steve and also follow his Twitch. Show some love, man. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace out.
Peace.